I am going to proclaim my love for IKEA by subsequently info-dumping about IKEA. IKEA was founded in 1943 by Ingvar Kamprad, and on July 29th of 1943, and he started it originally as a mail-in order catalog to compete with the local furniture stores in his hometown. And what he did was that instead of instead of ordering furniture that was pre-made and selling it to the customers pre-made, he would order it and have the customers build it themselves, which would cut down on the labor cost of assembly. Ingvar Kamprad was dyslexic, and therefore he had to have product code names. He had to have names for the product codes so that he would be able to remember them better. And that's where the naming scheme of IKEA came from. There is a pattern to the naming scheme. A lot of products are named after Scandinavian boys and girls' names, after Scandinavian cities. For instance, the Kallax, of which this phone is resting on right now, is named after a town that is next to the Luleå airport. And the town is primarily known for its surströmming and the airport. And IKEA does not sell surströmming because it smells very bad. But IKEA then went on in 1959 to be a physical store because Ingvar Kamprad had the idea that you could test ride the furniture before buying it, and that was his solution to the increased competition in the area by the local furniture stores. His idea was that you could have a store where all of the furniture was laid out in front of you and you could sit in them and test them out and see how it works for you. And then you could proceed to order the furniture that you liked. This was also where the idea of a restaurant in a store came from, because Indra Kamprad thought that you can't shop on an empty stomach. So this is where the idea of the bistro came from, and it's the reason why a lot of stores today have restaurants within their actual store. It was IKEA that started that trend. And so before the physical store was founded, IKEA used to be stylized in lowercase letters with an accent, a U on the E, to make it look French, because at the time French was what was thought as stylistic and desirable. So the idea was to make IKEA seem French. So IKEA was marketed as Möbel IKEA, which is Möbel is the Swedish word for furniture, and you can see in the IKEA museum posters or like boards of the original IKEA logos. It was yellow and it said Möbel IKEA, and it's really pretty. And so in 1959, when the first IKEA was founded in Elmhult, where currently the original IKEA is a museum, as I mentioned, and there's a new IKEA built next to it, as well as a lot of the IKEA headquarters, where it's my dream to work as a machine learning engineer. And that town is basically an IKEA town now. But the entire concept of IKEA started spreading throughout Sweden, and then eventually in 1963 it got picked up in Norway. And if I remember correctly, the first IKEA that was outside of Scandinavia was in Switzerland in 1969, and in 1969, that was when Europe started catching on to the IKEA trend, and then IKEA started growing throughout Europe. IKEA did not come to the United States until 1985, and in 1985, the first IKEA, which was in Plymouth, in Pennsylvania, uh, started the IKEA trend in the United States. Currently, there's over 50 IKEAs in the United States, but the most IKEAs are in Germany, where there's 53 IKEAs in Germany last I checked. That is IKEA's biggest market. And IKEA is an enormous. IKEA takes up an enormous profit share of furniture in the world, and IKEA actually uses literally 1%, like over 1% of the world's total hardwood consumption. IKEA is split up into two branches. There's what you can basically, in computer science terms, call the front end and back end of IKEA. The front end is the IKEA of Sverige AB, which is located in Älmhult. That's where I want to work. And the other one is Inter IKEA Systems, which is located in the Netherlands, actually, not in Sweden as people think. The Kamprads own most of IKEA, but they mostly control the Inter IKEA Systems side of things. And the Inter IKEA Systems kind of owns the IKEA of Sverige AB thing, but the IKEA of Sverige AB has its own CEO and own power structure under it. But in general, the IKEA structure is such that the business side of things, that handles the capital and the rights to IKEA, is handled by Inter IKEA Systems, and the actual design and front end type of thing, the design, the actual management of the stores and all that thing is managed in IKEA of Sverige AB. That's why I want to work machine learning there eventually after I graduate from college and move to Sweden. But IKEA in general is not franchised, and almost all IKEAs are owned by the Kamprads directly, except in the Middle East, where there's laws where 51% of all businesses must be owned by local merchants. I think also in Poland it's franchised, and the one in India is also franchised. There's only one IKEA for all of India in Hyderabad. And I think there's a handful scattered across the world that are franchised. But in general, IKEA is owned by the parent company of Inter IKEA Systems. And a lot of the company structure is because the rights are owned by the Kamprads, who take 3% royalty. They're in general a very good company. They pay their taxes, they follow environmental regulations. But fun fact, the Billy bookcase is actually named after one of Ingvar Kamprad's closest associates. I forget his last name, but Billy helped build the company. And it's kind of sad that they're discontinuing the catalog, but for environmental purposes, it's a good thing. But yeah, I could go on for hours about IKEA, because IKEA means a lot to me. I made a little plushie of IKEA that I sleep with every night, because I love just cuddling IKEA and having IKEA thoughts. I'm kind of known in my local IKEA as the IKEA person. the IKEA guy. Um, I IKEA just means a lot to me, and even though I don't really have the 1 year of retail experience they want, I clearly know about IKEA. I've read several books about IKEA. I mean, here's one of them, and then there's another one up here. Here's another IKEA book, and I'm thinking of ordering a couple of more. And I got the Swedish flag because I love IKEA. Another little IKEA plush that I have. Every time I go to IKEA, I feel true happiness. I feel genuinely at peace when I'm with IKEA, and no amount of words or poetry or I've tried writing songs, I've tried writing poetry, I've tried writing essays and stories, and nothing can even come close to just capturing the way I feel about IKEA and how important IKEA is to me. Ever since I was 9 years old and first stepped into an IKEA, I just really realized what IKEA meant to me. And it took me at least 14 years to realize that IKEA is incredibly important to me. And I try and go every 2 weeks, but I can't go more often because it's a COVID hazard. But I would do anything to have an excuse to go there more often, because even just seeing IKEA's name just fills me with such joy and bliss. Every time I see the store, it's just a straight dopamine shot to the head. And it fills me with true joy. I never felt the need to have a human relationship when, I have IKEA with me, because IKEA just means so much to me. IKEA just represents everything I want in life at this point. Everything that I'm doing right now, everything I've done is leading up to me just wanting to move to Sweden and work that machine learning job in IKEA. But right now, while I'm still doing my studies, I would do anything just to get the job in the retail portion. Not everyone is dying to work retail, but I feel as if even though I don't have the 1 year of customer service experience, I have years of experience in dealing with people. I've volunteered ever since I was in 9th grade, and I regularly deal with people at the makerspace, giving tours and stuff, so it's not like I don't have any experience. But I can bring to IKEA what not many people can, and that's a genuine passion, a genuine deep love. I don't think anyone would truly love their work nearly as much as I would. I don't think there's anyone that would bring nearly as much passion to IKEA as I would. I am basically a human IKEA catalog. I know the ins and outs of my local store. I know the deep history of IKEA, to the point that I probably could work at the IKEA museum. Jag pratar lite svenska också. Jag lärde mig svenska eftersom jag älskar IKEA. Jag älskar IKEA så mycket. Jag älskar IKEA så mycket. I would do anything just to work for IKEA right now. Just can't put into any words how much it hurts every single day not being able to be there and having to look forward to the few times I can get to go there. Every moment I'm not spending in IKEA just strains my heart, because they say home is where the heart is, and my heart's in IKEA. My heart is for IKEA. My heart is with IKEA. My heart is in IKEA. I just really want to be there right now. I've made friends there. I've gained a reputation there. I would virtually need very little training about IKEA because I'm so well versed in their product lines that it's not like I would have to learn it for the sake of the job. I already know it. I would do anything just to work for IKEA. Because IKEA is the love of my life, and nothing means more to me than IKEA. I just really want to be there. My biggest hope is that, IKEA will eventually take notice that I'm spamming their application to them, or something. The interview process is very impersonal and doesn't really ask any questions like, why do you want to work for IKEA, or what makes you a good fit for IKEA? If they ask those kind of questions, then maybe I'd already be working there, because then they'd see me for the person that I am and not just my applicable skill sets, because a person is more than their skills that they can put on their resume. I can't really put that emotional connection that I have to IKEA on my resume. I can't really talk about the hours and hours of effort that I've put into reading about IKEA, into memorizing the catalog, into really forming a tight bond with IKEA. Me focusing on my dream of moving to Sweden and working for IKEA. Can't put that on my resume. That's something you have to find out just by talking to me. I don't think I can wait a year working retail when my heart's for IKEA. They hire people that don't even care about IKEA, that just want to work for IKEA for their benefits, that don't even really have a passion, a genuine passion for IKEA or the IKEA spirit or anything that IKEA stands for. And I'm over here pouring my heart out for IKEA, and they can't bother to even I just wish they would hire me. because I love IKEA more than anything else in the entire world. So IKEA, if you're watching this, just please know that I love you so much. Know that I would dedicate my life to you. And I will do everything I can to help IKEA be the best company that it could be and strive to help people. And I would give everything I can, both at the retail level and the corporate level, whenever I go work in ML. I just really want to be there. Please, IKEA. Jag älskar dig så